And now our final work for these two discs. I'm going to do this water lily, and it's going to be a straightforward wet in wet watercolour. Nothing fancy. We haven't done just one simple example of this technique, so we're going to do that now. But the only difference is that instead of doing the whole thing in one go, I'm going to take it section by section. So I'm going to wet a petal at a time first. Now we're using a £200 rough paper in this case for this one, it's rather nice. And because it's so heavy and a small piece, I haven't got to bother stretching any of these papers. So I'm going to wet that one. I'm going to wet one a little bit further away so that I can do several at a time, but they will be separated because I want hard edges in between each one. If we have wet onto wet or wet next to wet, we know that they're going to join together, and I don't want that in this case. So if I'll do alternate ones, it should be alright. Using my nice oval mop, my wash brush, very handy brush for the job. And I'm going to start off with a very light cobalt violet, thin layer of that. Starting off very strong. We'll do a graduated wash, so we're going to start off quite strong up here. As we come down, we'll let it blend into the paper and become lighter till it just delicately disappears into the base. When I said graduated, it means that I can come back in again and come a bit stronger and let that gently come down. And there's a slight ribbing in the petals of this, so how we're going to achieve that is to, when we come down the second time, is to just drag the tip of the brush down like this. Well, that's the way we can do it, but I want a bit more of that, so I'm going to come around again. And then do just as I was saying. Drag the brush down, little strokes, the tip of the brush down. Get the effect of those ribs. Now I can look up to the top here again and give that a second wash there. Drop a bit more in other words. So very quick paintings, very quick way of working, and bring those down in the ribs. We have a little rose going on, so a little touch of that on this edge. That's better, not a lot. A little rose and alizarin in fact. So I'll just touch the alizarin as well, because the alizarin's a bit darker. Just along the edges here. And we'll let those tint in on their own. Then dry that brush off. Come back and just lift out. So it's a dry brush now, just lifting out and dragging down the edge of these to get this wet into wet effect on those same ribs. up to here, and drop in the rose up there. Same way, just bring it down those ribs. And there's a little touch of the same going on here around this edge. Be careful it doesn't get too dry. Just soften that in. It's a little bit stronger there, so I want that to be, already have a slight tint of that yellow going on down there. Make sure it doesn't dribble down too much. Now we go back to the top with the cobalt violet, and again we drop in from above. Don't forget that these watercolours always go lighter later, they always dry lighter. And then we can drag those veins through again into there, up, round. Come back with our little brush again and just a touch of the rose and alizarin into the tip there. Just dragging that down through to give a slight hint of it. And of course we could come in and paint them directly with a wash, but it's, for this graduated wash, it's nicer to be able to come in and have full control within that area. That's the sienna to really get some final darks and warms in there. Now, this petal we're talking about, this edge here I didn't actually finish before, did I? So I better go back to that. I think we'll use some of that to glaze here as well, to be a little darker yet, just link that colour with it a bit more. And there we are, our piece finished. That's the end of these films, and I hope you've gained so much from them and lots of new and exciting ways to paint and explore and enjoy yourself.